Good afternoon, everybody. This is Robert at Scott Leroy Marketing. We're going to get started with our Placester 101 class in just a minute here. It's our basic Placester class, getting your site launched and your information into it and ready for clients to start using. If you're looking for the more advanced Placester 201 class, getting into blogging and custom pages and things like that, you're going to want to check out slmtraining.com. All of our previous 101 and 201 classes are all there, slmtraining.com. Before we get started, I want to make sure you guys can hear me. I'm seeing indications on my end that you should be, but I want to make sure from you guys that you can. So if you'll look up near the top of your screen, you should have these same 5 buttons that I do. If you'll click on this one just to the left of center that looks like a speech bubble icon, that's going to open up your chat window here. And if you'll let me know here in this chat window whether you can or can't hear me, I'd really appreciate that. All right, Marcus says he can hear me, so I'm going to take that as meaning everybody can hear me. Before we get started, there's a couple more people can hear me. Awesome. There's a couple of notes to get out of the way before we get started. This class is recorded. This will be available, like I said earlier, at slmtraining.com. I just sent you guys a link to that. Should be available hopefully in just a couple of hours, if not tomorrow at the latest. If you would like to listen in using your phone instead of your computer speakers, maybe you're having trouble with your computer or you're on the road, you can call in. That number's been by on the screen a couple of times, but I did also send it to you there in the chat window there. In preparation, make sure that you're using any browser besides Microsoft Internet Explorer. So if you have Windows 7 or Windows 8, you can't use Internet Explorer to access Placester. It will not load. It'll be a blank screen. You can't see anything. You would need to upgrade to a newer browser like Google Chrome or Mozilla Firefox. Now, if you're using Windows 10 or Mac, Edge that's on Windows 10 that replaced Internet Explorer works just fine. Internet Explorer was retired almost 4 years ago now, and many websites are no longer supporting it, including Placester. So you'd want to use Edge if you're using Windows 10, which works just fine. If you're on a Mac using Safari, there are a couple of issues with getting into the Placester system, but we do have some instructions for how to fix that if you need them. And that's because since KW International changed the single sign-on system back in September, the Go to My Website button will sometimes ask for login information for Placester if you're using Safari or even some other browsers sometimes, but especially Safari. If you do see that login page, there is no login information for Placester. You're not supposed to have a username and password. It's supposed to log you in directly. So I just sent you a link to some instructions there if that's what you're seeing. And then lastly, this class is 100% follow along, step by step, click by click, do as I do, type what I type. I'm going to show you exactly in front of you on the screen what to do and where to click. So you're going to be following along. This is instructional. Okay, so let's get this out of the way here. Switch over to my working window here. So the first thing to know about your Placester website is that it's accessed through mykw.kw.com. It's not accessed by going to the home page of your website and clicking login, nor is it accessed by clicking login on the Placester homepage. It's accessed through mykw. You don't log in anywhere else besides mykw. So you have to make sure that you're on your mykw.kw.com homepage. Once you're on your MyKW homepage, up in the very top black menu, we'll hover over technology, and then we're going to click about halfway down here, or actually, sorry, third one down here, KW websites. It'll take us to this page here, and you should have this big red button in the center that says go to my website. If you don't have this button, that's for one of two reasons. Either your @kw.com email address doesn't exist yet, and if we did your setup, it does exist. That's not the issue. The other issue that it most likely is, this is about 99% of the time, usually it means that your MLS ID has not been added to your KW White Pages profile. Now that's not something that you can do yourself, nor is it something that we can do for you. It's something that has to be done by the MCA, the Market Center Administrator at your Keller Williams Market Center. That's the person who's responsible for getting commission checks out to agents. They need to add your MLS ID to the White Pages. So if you don't have this button, go talk to your MCA and have them add that to the White Pages. Now, if you don't have this button, unfortunately, adding your MLS ID right this second isn't going to do anything for you during the time of this class because there is a delay while the automatic system creates your account of roughly 24 to 48 hours. So once the MLS ID is added, you'll you'll need to wait a day or two before you'll actually get this button to go access your website. So you're welcome to watch along and take some notes for when that site does become available if you don't have this button yet, or you can just refer back to this recording at slmtraining.com. If you do have the red button here, let's click on that to go into the Placester system. This is where sometimes it might ask you for that username and password to log into Placester. So if you're seeing that, refer back to that second to last message I sent to you guys there in the chat window for instructions for how to fix that. Once we're in the Placester system here, this is the dashboard. This is the first thing you should be seeing. You may see some tiles across the top here about completeness, numbers or percentages or next steps. You can ignore those. We're going to be taking care of most of those through this class. They may also be over here on the left. Again, we're going to be taking care of most of those, and you can ignore those. And if there's anything left after the class, it's optional. You don't have to do it. On this page, the first thing we want to do is go on the left here under Quick Actions and click on this second link here that says Launch Site. You click that link, your site is launched. There are no settings to choose, nothing to type in, nothing complicated. You click the link, it launches site, boom, you're done. Now, after you click that link, where it takes us here is to the list of sites that are under your Placester account. In the vast majority of cases, there should just be one site here. It should be your one residential site. KW only provides you with one complimentary site. Now, there are a couple of exceptions to that. If you're a member of the commercial division or farm and ranch division, you do get an additional Placester site for each of those divisions. You also used to get an additional site if you were a member of KW Luxury. However, they changed that in the last 6 months or so to, instead of getting a new site, you just get a new theme for your existing residential site. Because luxury homes are still homes. They're still residential, so you don't need a whole new site. They just spruced it up and made it look luxury, and you can change that in the theme section, which we're going to cover in just a minute. Now, if your site was already launched and you don't know how to get to this page, it's very, very simple. Up in the very top right here of the Placester system, you're going to have these 9 squares here in a grid. If you click on that, you click on the second option that drops down here, which is Sites, and that'll take you here to this page. Once we're here on this list of our sites, we're going to click on Edit Site on the one site that we have here. So now here we are in Site Settings. This is where we're going to spend all of our time in this Placester 101 class. We're not going to jump over to pages or blog posts or testimonials or areas. That's covered in Placester 201. So refer back to that at slmtraining.com. So here in Site Settings, we're just going to start at the top and work our way down to the bottom. The first option here is IDX integration. IDX stands for Internet Data Exchange, and that's the connection between your site and the MLS to show listings on your site. You don't need to manually try to put in listings on your site. They automatically come over directly from the MLS into your site without you having to do anything after the IDX connection is set up. Now, on this page here, you may have more than one thing listed, like Scott has 4 things listed here. By default, what's going to be selected is the Keller Williams Listing Service, the KWLS. That's going to be just KW listings, only KW in North America, US and Canada. So if that's the only option you have, unfortunately, you'd have to leave that selected and then contact your market center for information about how to get your actual MLS listed on this page. If your real MLS is listed on this page, you would need to come over here where it says On for the KWLS and click that to turn it off, and then turn on your actual MLS. You can't have both selected. If you select both the KWLS and your local MLS, most of the time they'll just cancel each other out and no listings will show on your site no matter what people search for. So you have to select a real MLS or the KWLS. You can't have both. Now, if you are a member of multiple MLSs, say there's more than one MLS that covers your service area, and you're a member of all of those, you can select more than one real MLS, and it'll show listings from both of those MLSs on your site. It's just you can't have KWLS and a real MLS selected. Just wanted to make that clear there. Now, if your, like I said earlier, if your MLS isn't listed on this page, that's something that your market center is going to need to help you with. They're going to have the information for how to request IDX on your site. They may point you to us, and there are a handful of offices that we do set up IDX for, but for 99% of offices, you're going to want to get help from your market center directly. They are going to have the information instead of us. If your MLS is listed here, but you don't have the option to turn it on, it says pending over here on the right, you're actually going to need to contact Placester support directly. And you can reach them at dataops@placester.com. So that's D as in dog, A, T as in Tom, O, P as in Paul, S as in Sam, at Placester.com, Placester. And that is pronounced Placester, not Placester, not Placaster, not Placesetter. It's Placester. Don't know where that name came from, but it's pronounced Placester. That's a little bit of a pet peeve of mine. And then I am going to just send you that note via text here so that you guys know you can't have both KWLS and your local MLS selected at the same time. Once you've got your MLS selected and you've turned off the KWLS, you want to make sure to come down and click the green Save button here. You have to click the Save button in your site anytime you make any changes, or else those changes won't be applied. They'll just be forgotten and dismissed by the site. You'd have to come back and redo it and then click Save. Now, this is a good point to stop and show you guys how you're going to ask me questions. I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the class. If you do have questions, you'll look up near the top of your screen. You should have these same 5 buttons that I do. Just to the left of center here is one that looks like a speech bubble icon. If you'll click on that, that's where you'll open up the chat window here, and you can send me questions right here. So if there's anything you're unclear on, anything I accidentally skipped, anything you want to know more about, definitely send me those questions there in the chat window. I will be monitoring those. Coming down under IDX integration, we have these 2 options for global filters and featured listings. These are different things, and I'm going to illustrate those before we go into either one of them. Global filters, the vast majority of the time, you're going to want to leave completely alone. You can get into some real trouble with global filters with your site not showing things that you want it to be showing if you get into global filters and make things too narrow. This is where you're controlling the listings that are possible to be found on your site through the search function. So if you were to go in here into global filters, and I selected that Arkansas IDX integration up there, if I were to come in here into global filters and tell it only show listings from Little Rock, no listings that were outside the city of Little Rock would be able to show on my site. So if someone searched the next town over or a couple of towns over or something, they wouldn't be able to find any listings in those areas in the anywhere on my site here. Now, that may be what you want. So if you're sure that's what you want, if you're confident, go ahead and go into global filters and play with that, do what you want. I'm not going to cover it because our recommendation is just leave it alone. Forget it exists. Instead, what you most likely want to do is you want to control which listings show on the home page. That's what everybody wants control of. They want that under my thumb. My site does exactly what I'd want it to do, and that's how you do that, is on the home page. You're choosing which listings show on the home page here in featured listings. Here you can get a lot more narrow. You can tell it just show this one specific listing if you want. You can tell it show just this neighborhood, just this zip code, just this price range, beds, baths, just waterfront homes, just homes with a pool, whatever, on your homepage. And that's not going to affect what's possible to be found elsewhere on the site through the search function. This is just showing, controlling what shows on the homepage. And we are going to click in here to play around with that a little bit. Now, it's going to look very similar if you were to go into global filters. You're going to have some of the same options, but we're going to work here in featured listings instead, just to control what shows on the home page. Now, on this page, you have 2 options of ways to display listings on your home page. You have filtered listings, which is going to automatically take whatever criteria you set here and show those listings on the home page. And if they go off the market, it'll take it off. And if they come on the market, they'll add them to what shows on your home page, and it's going to do it automatically. The other option is to go to, specific listings here, and you would need to manually choose one by one the listings that you want to show on your home page. And if they went off the market, they would just disappear and would not be replaced by new listings that meet your criteria. So most of the time you're going to want to ignore the specific listings because it's way more work than most people want to put into their site. Instead, you want to use filtered listings so the site automatically shows the listings you want on your home page. So coming down here into specify listing criteria, this is going to be kind of similar to a search page. You're going to have options for beds, baths, price, and zip here. You can also add your own criteria here. So if I click where it says select criteria, got this big long drop down list of everything that's available to select from the MLS. So I could tell it only show this particular city on the home page. I could select a school district to show on the home page, or a zip code, or a subdivision. I could also come down here under agent office info and tell it only show my listings based on my email, ID, or name, or only show my office's listings. You can also come down here and say, I want to show, it's already got beds and baths on here, but I can say I want a maximum year built of 1985 on here, or I only want property type or purchase type. You'd have to click through these. They're different for each MLS. You could say I only want rentals on the homepage. I only want purchases on the homepage. I only want commercial on the homepage, things like that. You could also come down here and have some price options, and you can even do like waterfront or pool or things like that. So I'm going to add, let's see here. I'm going to do, let's see, maximum year built here. I'm going to click add over here on the right to add that criteria. So now I've got a new box for max year built, and I'm going to call this 1985. That's not the year I was born. It's a couple years before. It's just, it's the name of a song actually that I like, so I thought of that number there. So I'm going to tell it, okay, no listings on my home page that were built after 1985. I could also come up and filter that down a little bit more. Minimum baths of, we'll call it 2, minimum beds of 3, minimum price of 150K, and then max price of, we'll call it 850K. And I don't know any zip codes that are in Arkansas, so I'm going to leave that there. Under that, we have the option for default sort. By default, what it's going to do is show the highest price listings on your home page first. And depending on the theme that you've chosen, you can have a maximum of 4 listings up to 16 listings that show on the home page. And that's based on the theme that you've chosen, which we're actually going to get to in the very next section. So if the theme that you've chosen isn't showing enough listings on the home page, you'd have to switch to a theme that shows the number of listings that you want. Now, we'll get more into themes in just a little bit. So default sort is going to be highest price first. You can also do by the highest number of images, the most recently listed, the most long ago listed, oldest listed, I don't even know what you would call that, beds or baths most, or year built newest or oldest. Most times I'm going to recommend days on site newest, so that way it always automatically cycles through the freshest listings on your home pages. On your home page, but it depends on what you want here. I'm going to select newest, but you can do any of those that you want. And then default results per page is choosing how many listings that meet these criteria do you want to show on the featured listings page, which is not on your site by default. You'd actually need to go over to Placester 201 to learn more about adding that page to your site. That's not something we're going to cover here in Placester 101. Now, after I selected these criteria, it shows me down here there are no listings that were built after 1985 that meet my criteria here. So I'm going to actually change that to maybe 89. See what that comes up with. Click search. Nothing after 89. 2000. 2010. I don't know, I'm just going to remove that year built there, and it's just going to show me the listings that have 2 beds, 3 baths, minimum 150,000, maximum. Ooh, that's why. There we go, that's what it was. I was saying a maximum of 85,000, and that's not a thing. Okay, so now it shows me there are 1,120 listings that could show on my home page. Because of this right here, it's going to show the 4 most recently listed, which I believe is going to be these first 4 right here. And tomorrow when new listings come on the MLS, it's going to show those listings instead of these. So I would come down to the bottom here and click Save to apply that to the site. So now once you've made some changes to your site, you're going to want to go look at your site to see what it looks like. And you can do that up here at the top right by clicking View Live Site. I was supposed to have removed those. Okay, so here on Scott's site, if we scroll down here under featured properties, these are going to be those listings that meet those criteria. This is the most recently listed listing that meets those criteria of 2 beds, 3 baths from 150 to 850K built before 1985 or before or until 1985. And if I click on View More Listings, it's just going to take me over to the search page. Ta-da. Okay. Coming back to the Placester interface here, we're going to skip past open house info because it's grayed out. We can't use it. It's not part of what KW is providing. Under that, we're going to come in here into theme selection. This is where you're choosing the look and feel of your site. This is where you can change some colors, some fonts, some arrangements of your site. However, be very strongly advised that there is no drag and drop. There's no color picker beyond what's right here. You can't change the fonts. You can't change the placement of things. Basically, you select your theme, and that's the way the site is going to look. There's no customization really beyond that. If you know a little bit of HTML, there are some quote-unquote hacks you can do to change some small things, but for the most part, you select your theme, and that's the way your site is going to look. If you want things beyond what the theme provides, you're going to need to contact a company that can provide some coding that you can put into the Placester site. You would also need to upgrade your Placester site. So this is actually going to cost a good bit of money. This is not a service that we offer. We cannot customize your Placester site beyond what the themes provide here. We don't have access for that. Instead, you need to contact a company like maybe Brandco. They actually are the only, as far as we're aware, KW approved vendor that can customize the Placester sites. So by default, the theme that's going to be selected is the Madison theme. This one's KW specific. Only KW agents get this theme. And for the last couple of months, what we've been seeing is that this is basically the only theme that KW agents get. If you've got an older version of the Placester site, you may have up to 8 or 9 themes here, depending on whether you're a member of Luxury or not. But if you're newer, unfortunately, what we're seeing is that only the Madison and the Madison, Metro, where is it? There we go. The Madison Metro are available for newer agents. If you have other themes, you can select one of those other themes if you feel like it, but you may just have the option for the Madison and the Madison Metro, unfortunately. And if that's the case, there's nothing we can do about that. It's just the way Placester changed the system. So now, as far as choosing a theme, if you do have other options besides the Madisons, you want to choose your theme based on the look and feel and the layout. You're not choosing your theme based on this image back here behind the search bar or depending on the theme above the search bar. You're in control of this. So say you like everything about the Plymouth theme, but you don't like this fall picture of this house, that's fine. Select Plymouth, you can change that picture, which we're going to do in the very next section. So choose your theme based on what it looks like, not based on any particular image on the homepage, because you're in control of that. I am going to go ahead and select the Madison here just to show you what that looks like. Coming down underneath that, most themes are going to have some color options for you to choose. A couple of themes actually have pairs of colors for you to choose. It'll be like gray and yellow, gray and orange, things like that. But here in Madison, we just have some solid colors, and that's going to change up here. Let me come up here just a little bit. My scroll wheel is not being very precise. Say I click this orange one here, it's going to change the color, of that header section there and the search bar and some of the text and links on the site. You know, we've got the blue here, the green, everything's nice and pretty. So you can see that preview here when you're choosing the color. Underneath that, this one is specific to the Madison theme by itself. It's not specific to the Madison Metro. You won't see it here. On Madison, you have the option of a solid color header at the top. So it's going to be solid, whatever color you select here, with accents of white. Or you can have a white header at the top with accents of whatever color you select here. You'll notice it doesn't change the preview at the top here when I choose one or the other. It's not part of what changes on the preview. You just have to kind of visualize that in your head. So I'm going to select the solid color here and have the accents of the white. Under that, for the Madison themes specifically, you have the option of changing what it says over the search bar here. By default, it's going to say the best place to find your home, and if you leave this blank, it's going to say the best place to find your home. So other than that, you have up to 60 characters to change in here. You can even just do a space here if you wanted it to be blank. We typically do, no we don't. We typically put in the best place to find your home. I must have clicked save accidentally. Oi. I have an auto text here that pops up when I type that. We typically do something like the best place to find your home, or your home search starts here. So then you click save to apply that to your site. So if you come back over to the site and give it a refresh, you'll see that new theme with the new color and the new text up here. Now this text will always be white, It'll always be this size. It'll always be this font. It'll always be this placement. Can't change anything about it except what it says. Okay. And then for some reason, the Placester system has been bugging out here. After you save it, it'll take you back to the same page. We're going to have to click outside of this little slide out that comes out from the right. It's going to take us back to the dashboard, and we're going to need to come over here on the left under Quick Actions and click on Edit Site to get back into Site Settings. I don't know why it started doing that. I wish they would fix it. Anyway, moving on. So here in Slideshow is where we're going to control those pictures that show on the home page. So you remember that rocky seascape that was on that Madison preview there? That's not actually what's on Scott's site because he has this other theme selected here, the Highland. There are also several other pre-made themes that Placester provides for you. You can select and save any of these and use them exactly as is. You can customize these. You can remove images, add your own images, add your own captions, things like that. You can even, up here at the top, click this plus sign to create your own custom theme here, which is what we're going to do just to show you an example. We'll click this plus sign to create a new theme. Now we're going to call this class and then today's date. And now we have the option to upload up to 5 images, and we do need to upload these individually, so I'll get started on that there. Each slideshow that you use can have a maximum of 5 images. It can have as few as 1 image. It can just be one, what are they called? One static image if you want to, but you can have a maximum of 5, no more than 5. You can have anywhere between 1 and 5, but 5 is the max there. Let me get main slideshow. There we go. So I'm going to upload these one by one. One big thing to know about these images that you're using in the slideshow is you don't need to know any specific dimensions. There are some dimensions that I'm going to read off to you, but the main rule of thumb is you want your image to be about 4 times wider than it is tall. You don't want it to be way, way, way widescreen instead of up and down. If it's more square, that may cause some issues as well. If it's equal on each side, you instead want it to be way wider than it is tall. So I've uploaded 5 images here, got this nice wide one. This one's a little bit closer to square. This one's wide, and then this one is way taller than it is wide. And I'll show you what those look like, that square one and that tall one, once we get done saving this here. For each image, you have the option to add a caption. Captions show down at the bottom left on the home page here in white text. It's only ever going to be white, only ever going to be in that spot, only going to be ever that size. You can't change anything about it except what it says and whether or not you have a caption. Captions are optional. You don't have to have anything on your images if you don't want to, but I'm going to add one here. This is a caption just to show you what that looks like. Each image also has the option of having a link on it. So you could apply a link to maybe your Facebook page or maybe a tourism board in your area or a military installment information or an event that you're hosting, maybe on Eventbrite. You can have a link applied to each image. And this can be a link to anywhere in the entire internet. It doesn't have to be on your site. It can be anywhere else. So I'm going to link this to the Scott Leroy website here. And it does need to be the full address, the whole entire http:// blah, blah, blah. The entire address goes in this box here if you're applying a link to this image. Once you've got your images uploaded and your captions put in place and your links put in place, you'd want to scroll down and click Save down at the bottom. Now, one thing I want to point out about your images, if they are too tall and they're looking funky, unfortunately, you can't change anything about that once it's uploaded to Placester. You need to change the image dimensions to way, way wide before it gets uploaded. So if you upload a picture that's too tall and it cuts it off, you're going to need to go back to that image on your computer, shrink it down height-wise up and down, and then re-upload it to replace whatever you put in place the first time. So now if I come back to Scott's site here and give it a refresh, got these nice new images here on the home page. Now this is one of the ones that was a lot wider than it was tall. It looks pretty much the same as I uploaded it. You can tell exactly what's going on. Here's my caption down here at the bottom. It says this is a caption. You'll notice that might be That's a very good question, number 19 there. Curious, will Placester be accessible in command once it fully rolls out? Our understanding, and this is, I think, just rumor that we've heard, is that the command system is going to have a completely, entirely, 100% new website system that's going to be connected to it, or KW is switching to a new website provider. So sometime way down the line in the far future, once command is finally perfected, which is probably going to be a year or more from now, KW is going to have a new website platform. And once that new website platform comes out, probably an additional year from then, you're going to have the opportunity to move everything from the Placester site to whatever this new website platform is. This is not an immediate impending thing. You have plenty of time to use your Placester site before whatever's coming down the road comes out. So anybody that's telling you don't use your Placester site, it's going away, use your Placester site. It is going away eventually, probably 12 plus months down the road. You have plenty of time. Now, if you're worried about, oh, if I put my Placester site address on my business cards, on my signs, on my marketing materials, and it goes away, what's going to happen? That's where we recommend getting a custom domain. You go to GoDaddy, buy myname.com, and you apply that to your Placester site. And then once Placester goes away, you apply that to whatever the new site is, and you don't have to change your marketing materials. You keep your custom domain on there, it belongs to you, and you can change where it's pointed without affecting your marketing materials. And we're going to get more into that in just a little bit here. Very good question. So the long and short of it is, if somebody says don't use Placester because it's going away, they're only half right. It is going away eventually, probably a year or more from this point. So if they're telling you don't use Placester, use it anyway, they're wrong. Anyway, okay, so we've got the slideshow here, got my caption. I also applied that link to the Scott Leroy Marketing website. So if I click on this image, it's going to take me over to the SLM homepage. It looks like it's opening in a new tab. There we are, we've got the SLM homepage. Now, if I come over to the next image here in the slideshow, that was that picture of the boots on the dock with the nice pretty boats behind it. Very pretty picture, but you can't see any of those pretty things besides the boots. You have no idea there are any boats up here. You can barely see the dock down here. That's because the image is too tall. So again, you want your images to be about 4 times wider than they are tall. So say, I'm just giving you an example here, say your image is about 400 pixels tall. You want your image to be roughly 1600 pixels wide. And if you don't know what that means, contact somebody who does, because we don't offer any photo editing services. We can't crop your images to be specifically this size. Now, if you want specific dimensions, specific numbers, because you're that kind of person, I'm sending them over to you via a link that Placester provides there. But you don't have to have the specific numbers. Just remember, roughly 4 times wider than it is tall. So say your image is 100 pixels tall. You need 400 wide. See, your image is 1,000 pixels tall. You want 4,000 pixels wide, okay? 4 times wider than it is tall, and it should look good here on the home page. I also want to show you this second to last image here, this lighthouse. You can barely tell this is a lighthouse because this image is completely opposite proportions. It's way, way wider than it is, way, way taller than it is wide. And so it's cutting off the top and bottom of the image. Now, the inverse, the reverse is not true. So say your image is too wide. So say in this article I sent you, says the image needs to be exactly 1600 pixels wide, and your image is 2000 pixels wide. No big deal. It will just shrink it down horizontally to fit in 1600 pixels. It's not a big deal. The only problems arise when your image is too tall. It cuts off the top and bottom and only shows you the center of the image depending on the ratio that it has there. So again, just roughly 4 times as wide as it is tall. Okay. So what is that number that I just gave you guys? How much wider than tall? Send that over to me in the chat window just to make sure you're paying attention. Okay, we just finished up in slideshow. Dropping down here to certifications, this is the easiest thing you can do on your site. You just click the certifications you've earned. If you're in the States, you're required legally to have the Equal Housing Opportunity logo message on your site. And then also, if you're in the States, you probably are required to have the National Association of Realtors logo on your site if you're a member of an Association of Realtors. It is possible to be a member of an MLS without actually being a member of the board, but it's not very common. So most times you do have to have those 2 certifications showing on your site. That leaves room for 4 more to select. You can have a total of 6 certifications on your site. So I'm going to select, these 4 here in addition to the equal housing and the national, and I'll click Save down here at the bottom. And those are going to show on the bottom of your site on every page. You go scroll down to the bottom, there those certifications are. Now, this goes without saying, but I'm going to say it anyway, only select the certifications you've actually earned. If you haven't earned the CRS, don't select CRS. If you haven't earned CIPS, don't select CIPS. If you do, those organizations are probably going to get mad at you. Okay, dropping under certifications, you've got this section for social networks. This is where you're controlling these little icons up here, or depending on the theme that you've chosen, they may be placed in a different place on the site. But on the Madison theme, they are going to be up here in the top left here. This is where you're adding links to like LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those kinds of things. And you'll notice in these boxes here, I don't have the full entire http://www.facebook.com/ScottLeroy-marketing. I don't have the whole thing. All I have is the part after the first slash. Everything before the slash and up to the slash does not need to be included in these boxes. Everything after the slash does need to be included in these boxes. So say your Facebook page is facebook.com/so-and-so realty. You would leave out facebook.com/ and just put in so-and-so realty. Okay, now realty isn't supposed to be your name on Facebook. That's a violation of NAR's terms, but that's a separate discussion. Same for Twitter. Now LinkedIn, you'll notice there's a second slash here. That doesn't change the rule. You want everything after the first slash. Same for YouTube. If there's another slash, if there were 3, 4, 5, 6 slashes after the first slash, you include those and everything after those. Now, if you need help finding the links that need to go in these boxes here, we do have a class that shows you click by click on each social media platform or several social media platforms how to find the correct link that goes in these boxes. And you'd save that once you're done down here at the bottom. And I just sent you guys the link to that class there. Okay, so we'll save that, exit that. Now we'll drop down here to search form. If you're using the Madison or the Madison Metro theme, you have one option here in the search form, and it's a good option. It's called the Omni box, which means that people can type in what they're looking for in one big long string, and it'll automatically parse that and apply those filters. So what we could do in the Omni box here is I could type in 3-bed, 4-bath, 2,500 square feet, pool, fence, view, 32504 zip code, and I don't know, just have that all typed out in one line, no commas, no anything, just type it all out as one run-on sentence, and it would go to the search page and it would apply a minimum 3 baths, minimum 4 bedrooms, and minimum 2,500 square feet in this zip code, only listings that have a pool, only listings that have a fence, yada yada. It's a really great tool, and in most cases this is what you're going to want to use. Now, if instead you do want a search box that has individual drop downs for each one of those things, you would actually need to go and change your theme. So we're going to click out of this to get out of there and go select a different theme here. I'll select the Plymouth just because it's the first one here. Now, again, if you have one of those newer Placester sites, you may not have that option. You may not get to choose a different search box, and unfortunately, that's just the way it works. And I got to go back in and edit site. Okay, so if I come back here to search form, if I selected a different theme, I still have the option of Omnibox, but I have some additional options down here of drop-down based search boxes. And this is just choosing which box do you want to be first, price, city, zip, or neighborhood. Price is the most common, we'll select that, and then we'll go next. And then here we're choosing how many additional drop-downs do we want to give them on the actual search page versus the home page. We can keep it as just having 4, we can give them up to 8, or up to, I think it's 15 here, or what is that, 8 and 11. So we can click Save here. I'm going to select the most, click Save, and if I come back to Scott's site and click on the Home button, it's going to refresh the site with that new theme and that new search box. There we go, got my new theme, got my drop-down based search boxes here. Going to do a minimum price of 150,000. Select that and search. And then here we're on the home page, and we have those additional drop downs here, those up to, what is it, 11 drop downs, and we can filter that down further. It's up to you how you want to do that. If you use the Omnibox, these options are still there to select. They're just sliders instead of drop downs. Okay. Oh, now, one little glitch, one funny thing that happens here. If you select a different theme, select one of these drop-down based search boxes, and then decide, no, I want to go back to the Madison, and you just go back and save the Madison. And then you go back to the home page of your site, it's going to look a little funny. Apologies, it was just a package. Okay, so here on the home page, what it's done is it's tried to fit a drop-down based search box in the space that the Omnibox takes, and it looks really funny here. Also, these drop-downs aren't functional. You can't actually select anything here. Actually, I clicked on the image there. So nothing to select, unfortunately. So what you would have to do is come back into your Placester interface after you've selected your Madison theme again. Go back down to the search form, and then just re-save the Omnibox. There are no additional options to select. You just click Next and then Save. And then when you come back to your site, you'll have the Omnibox back the way that it was. There we go, nice fancy Omnibox. Okay, dropping down there, this is where we're going to spend, dropping down into site info. No, it's not, we're skipping menu. So coming down into menu, this is where you control these buttons across the top of your site. Now, depending on how old your site is, or if you're a new agent, you may have more or fewer options here in the menu. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can see a little better. But these are roughly the menu options you should have. Now, actually, you know what? I don't think this one or this one are actually there by default, but you can select them. Now, neither of those actually works, so you should just mostly ignore them. Anyway, so in your menu here, you can drag and drop things to rearrange them. I didn't mean to do that. So like home is at the top by default. And by the way, top means left. So whatever's higher up on the list here means it's going to be farther to the left on your site here. So we've got home, listing, search about, home, listing, search about. So it's the same order there. So I can move home down here to the bottom, theoretically. There we go. Home down here to the bottom. I could move blog to the top if I felt like it. Rearrange things any way I want to. I can also come down here to the bottom and click on where it says home, and I've got this drop down here of additional things that I could add to my menu. Now this what's my home worth and buyer resources or first time home buyer resources, those are auto-populated on the site, but they don't, actually have a CMA form like on what's my home worth, and they don't actually have any buyer resources. So you don't actually need to add those to your site. They're just blank pages. They don't actually do anything. Don't know why they're even in there. One you do want to add most likely is this your favorite listings page. So we're going to select that there and then click add. So now we've got a new menu item here. Your favorite listings means your as in the site visitor, people that have come to your site and registered and saved properties. This is not your favorite listings as the agent. There is a way to show your favorite listings as the agent. It's called a featured listings page, but that's covered in Placester 201. This your favorite listings is people that have come to your site, saved some properties. If they click on this page, it'll show them a full list of all those properties that they've saved. You can also come down here and add a custom URL. That means you can link anywhere on the entire internet from the menu on your site here. So typically when we're setting up sites for agents, we'll do free mobile search app, or download my app, or search homes on the go free, or something like that. You can label it anything you want to. That's just the text that's going to display there in the menu. And then in this URL box, this is where we're going to put in the link for your own personal customized KW app, the one that has your name, your picture, your information. And it's really easy to get the link that goes in there. So we're going to leave this tab open, and we're going to come back to My KW here where we clicked on the red button. We're going to come back to the My KW homepage by clicking on the logo up at the top left. And then in the eEdge control panel right here in the center, in the top center of the eEdge control panel, it says My Marketing. Just to the right of that, there's a plus sign, and we'll click on that. And then this bottom option here says Manage e-agency website. You'll click on that. Now, don't get hung up by that website word. The e-agency website was retired nearly 4 years ago. It's not functional. It doesn't work. It doesn't really provide listing search. It doesn't provide any lead capture capabilities. It's broken. It's old. It doesn't work. The only reason this interface still exists is because of this one reason. The KW app is still administered through this interface. My understanding is they're getting ready to change that with the new version of the app that's coming out in the next couple of months. But for now, the app is still administered through this e-agency system. So when you click on that, it's going to take you into e-agency, and I'm not actually going to be able to show you what it looks like, but I can describe it really well. Over on the left, you're going to have section 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5.0. You're going to click on section 4.0, and then underneath that, you'll click on section 4.5, mobile property search. On that page on the right, if it's not already selected, in the drop-down, select the name of your market center. Just below that, it's going to have a link that says http://app.kw.com/kw and then a 5-digit code. That is your specific personal app link. Nobody else has the same link you have. If someone were to download the app from that link, it would have your information, nobody else's. So highlight and copy that entire link, the full http://app.kw.com/kw blah, 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 whatever the entire thing is, and then come back to your Placester interface here and paste it into this box. Right click and paste. And it's going to look like http://app.kw.com/kw, whatever your code is there. It's going to be different for each person. This is not a real actual code here. And then once you've got that pasted in there, including the code, I just took mine out because that's not going to go to a real page. You would just click Save down at the bottom, and that would apply that to your site. You'd have a new menu item. Now, adding a tooltip is optional. You don't have to have a tooltip, but I'll add one here just to show you what that looks like. Save that. Come back to the site and refresh it. So now I've got that new menu item for your favorite listings. So if I had signed into the site and saved properties, it would show me a list of those. And then I've also got free mobile search app here. If I click on that, that's going to go to my mobile app download page. And if you pasted your link in that box correctly, this page should have your picture, your name, your information on this page. Okay, now if it doesn't show that, you copied your link incorrectly. It's the only one thing it can be. So you'd have to go back and copy it and paste the whole thing again. Okay, we're dropping down here to site info. We're a little bit behind from where I want to be. We're going to spend a lot of the rest of the time in the class here, so I'm going to try to breeze through this pretty quickly. Most of this is pretty self-explanatory, except for a couple of things, especially up here at the top. Site title is where you're choosing. See up here in the top left next to the KW logo, you're going to have a large line up here at the top and then a smaller line underneath it. The large line is here, this site title. So you can change that to be like your name, your team's name. It just can't be blank. There has to be something in this box. So we'll call this Scott Leroy Marketing just to show you what that looks like. Underneath that is that smaller line, the one that's underneath that bigger line up here at the top. The smaller line underneath it here is the site subtitle. This one can be blank if you want it to be. You can put your slogan, catchphrase, mantra, motto, whatever you call it in this box here. So when we're setting this up for agents, typically we do your local real estate resource. Under that, you have the option to add a KW logo. Add a logo. By default, it's going to have the plain KW logo in here. You do also have the option of uploading your own logo or your market center specific logo here. If you need help finding your market center's logo, we do have instructions for that. Sending you guys that there in the chat window here. You know what? Let me just throw the chat over here because that's not really in the way of anything. Where was I saying? So we have instructions for how to download your market center's logo. There's also the option over here to select a KW logo, but there's only about 50-something offices represented in there, and there are over 800 KW offices. So more than likely your office isn't in here. Your best bet is to go download that logo and upload it yourself. Now, I had a question last year of an admin who thought that because there was a logo here and we still had the upload file button, that means you could upload 2 logos. Unfortunately, that's not the case. If you click on this button and upload a new logo, it's going to replace this logo. Pretty common sense, but I had to explain that to this admin here. Under that, we've got these two checkboxes here. By default, display logo is going to be selected, so it's going to show whatever's uploaded right here. And in most cases, you do want to leave that selected. There's also this display name and tagline. By default, it's not checked, so that means there's no name and tagline up here at the top. There we go. So in most cases, you do want to check that. Underneath that, we've got a favicon upload. Favicon shows up here in the browser tab, and it's real hard to tell here with my incognito window, but there's a stylized blue geometric P here for Placester. That's the Placester logo. More obvious over here on the left is the KW favicon. It's a red square with the white KW in it. This is the only place the favicon shows, and it is always this tiny. It's exactly 16 pixels by 16 pixels. So this is not the place to upload your picture. All people will be able to tell is, hey, maybe that's a person. They won't be able to tell it's you. There's a separate spot to upload your picture instead. So most often we recommend just using the KW favicon, just like what's up there in the top left. And we do have that there for you guys to use. Just going to paste that in there to send over to you. We've got instructions, or excuse me, we've got the file itself that you can download and use in this spot. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Ta-da, new tiny little favicon. Dropping down here, this information is pretty self-explanatory, your name. As far as title goes, this is only required for New York and Louisiana. In New York, you're required to have a licensed real estate broker or licensed real estate salesperson, whichever your license actually is, in this spot here. If you're in Louisiana, it has to say licensed in Louisiana. Any other state, doesn't matter. You can leave this box blank if you feel like it. Under that, this is going to be your contact email. Under that is your phone number. Under that, we've got this option for display license number. This is going to be specific to California and New York. If you're not in one of those two states, you can ignore this. If you are in California or New York, you're required to check this box here, and then we're going to hold the Control key or the Command key and click on where it says My Profile to open that in a new tab. That opened up here in my browser bar up at the top. So then on this page, right next to where it says My Profile, we'll click on Edit. And then we'll come down and we're required actually to add a phone number. By default, there's not going to be a phone number in here. You have to add one in. You can ignore the rest of these. It won't let you change them and save it. It doesn't show anywhere. It doesn't show on the site. It doesn't show to clients. Nobody sees it. You ignore these, okay? This is not important. The only important things on this page are phone number. Put your phone in there. It's not going to be displayed anywhere, but it has to be in there. It won't let you save it without it. And then you need to come down here to license display and put in your full DRE number if you're in California or New York. Once you've got those in there, you click Save Profile. And then after we're done here, we'll save this and that'll show it on the site. Under that, oh, by the way, if you're in New York, you have to put cell in front of your phone number here, if it's your cell number. If it's your office number, you have to put office. You have to designate which number this is. And then this is your picture here. So I've got a nice picture of Scott. I'm going to put in here. Under that, this is going to be office information. Again, for most states, doesn't matter what you put in here. You could just put in Keller Williams Realty. If you're in New York, again, this is more requirements from the Department of Real Estate, and you have to add your market center's actual registered DBA name, doing business as name. You can get this name from your market center directly. So this would be like Keller Williams Southern Tier and Finger Lakes. That's an office in New York. If you're a member of that office, this is what you would put. And then you'd also have to get put in, if you're in New York, the website address of your market center. It does have to be the full http:// the whole thing. So this would be like https://kwstfl.com. That's the website for Southern Tier and Finger Lakes. Under that, you do have to put in, if you're in New York, your market center's number here. If you're not in New York, you can put in your number here if you felt like it. My personal feeling is that if they're calling this number, they weren't able to reach you, so you're not getting the lead anyway. Okay, so put in your number or your office's number. Same for the email. Actually, if you're in, if you are in New York, you're required to do the office's number and the office's email. You can get that contact information from your office. Also, if you're in New York, you have to put in the actual address here. So, whatever that is there. Also in New York, you have to check these two boxes here: display office name, display office address. And that, I think, is mostly it for the New York compliance. Now, I am not an authority on New York real estate law. To check that your site is in compliance, confer with your broker. They're going to be the final authority that, as far as compliance with your sites. Under that, if you're in Texas, we have some spots down here to put in the links to your consumer protection notice and your information about brokerage services. If you need help doing that, we do have a class for that, sending that to you in the chat window there. I'm not going to cover that during the class here. Under that, we unfortunately don't have time to cover SEO here, so if you want to learn more about what to put in these two boxes, the meta title and the meta description, we do have our full website SEO challenge for improving your site, including how to use these boxes here. So I'm going to leave those blank there and click Save down here at the bottom. And if I come back to Scott's site and refresh it, now we have a whole bunch of new information here on the site. Got that title, got the subtitle, got his name, his title here, got his DRE number. This email me link is going to open the, default mail client on a computer. Let's see here. I don't have a link for that. If you need help understanding why this link doesn't do anything on your computer, send us an email. We can send you the information about that. Got his phone number here, got his picture in that circle, got the office information here. This links to the Market Center's website. And then, excuse me, down at the bottom, we've got the actual Market Center contact information. Got my new fave icon up here, all that fun stuff. Okay, and then now we have to click out of this and then go back over here on the left and click Edit Site again, because the theme and the site info sections, for whatever reason, go back to the dashboard. Language we're going to skip. There are 3 options here. They're dumb. No point in covering those. We're also going to skip Auto Publish because that's an upgrade feature from Placester. Lead capture is possibly the most important thing we're going to cover in this class here, and I'm sorry for the 3 or 4 people that left because they're going to miss this. There are 2 purposes to a real estate website: provide listing search for site visitors and capture information from those site visitors to send to the agent. We already set up listing search through IDX. This is the other point of the website, collecting that lead capture information. Now, this is directing where that lead capture stuff is going to go and how it collects that information. By default, what's selected is passively capture leads. That means people don't have to fill out a lead capture form on your site if they don't want to. You've also got aggressively capture leads, which means they're going to be forced to fill out a lead capture form on your site if they want to view a particular listing's details. They can view any other page on your site without filling out the lead capture form, but as soon as they go to look at one particular listing out of the search results, then it'll pop up and force them to fill out the form. If you don't like either of those options, you'd need to contact Placester support directly about upgrading and getting more finer control as far as those lead capture options. Down at the bottom here, this is email addresses that are going to be notified when new leads come into your site. So the main, most important email to put in here is, of course, your regular everyday contact email. You want to make sure you're notified as soon as leads come in. And then we're going to put in a comma. Has to be a comma. Can't be a colon, semicolon, dash, bar, space, enter. You can't do a new line. Has to be a comma, 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 only, ever, always a comma. And then you can put in additional email, comma, additional email, comma. So say if you've got multiple people on your team, or maybe a lead coordinator or something like that, you can notify multiple people when leads come into your site. We also want to add in your e-edge email so that these leads will automatically go from your site into your e-edge database as a contact. And then if and whenever KW International finally gets the sync between e-edge and command working, those leads will automatically go into command as well, whenever it finally starts working, which it's not currently. So we're going to go get our e-edge email to put in here. And it's really easy. Back here over on the MyKW homepage, we're going to click on the same button next to My Marketing, the plus sign. Then we'll click Manage eEdge Website. That just saves us one click and one page load. It just makes it a little bit faster. Eventually. And then over on the left, down near the bottom, we're going to click on My Account. And we want this email right here. We want the eEdge email, the one that ends in @kwrealty.com, not the one that ends in .kwrealty.com. That is a website address. @ means email address. We want this email here. So we're going to highlight and copy this whole email here, and then paste that into this box here. So that way leads, once we click save, will automatically go from Placester into the eEdge database by themselves. If you want more information about, okay, never mind. So then we click save to apply that to the site. I know we're a little bit over time, bear with me, we've got one more thing to cover. Last thing to cover here is custom domain. This is the one everybody's excited about. What is my website address? This is where you find that. It's right here. Your domain is such and such.kw.com. Or if you're in Canada, such and such.kellerwilliamsrealty.com. It's one of those two options. It always has to end in the .kw or kellerwilliamsrealty.com. Actually, in Canada, it's .ca. Sorry. Now, if you wanted to change that, you do have the opportunity to change this part before this first dot. You can't change anything from this dot onward. You can only change this part by clicking on Edit over here on the right. So you would type in what you want to change it to, so like Scott Leroy, check availability, and it tells me someone else has already selected that. Somebody is trolling us. So we could also try to do SL marketing, something like that, check availability. Okay, that is available. Click save. Now that's my new site address. Now, a word of caution if and when you're changing the site address. If you do change it, the old address is not going to forward to this new address. It'll actually forward to the main regular kw.com homepage. So if you have the old Placester address posted on, social media, marketing materials, or business card, you're going to want to consider that, because you're probably going to have to get new stuff, and old stuff is no longer going to work. Now, the other option here is you can actually connect your own custom domain that you went to, say, GoDaddy and purchased of, like myname.com. You can have that connected to this site, and this address won't matter at all. It'll just show your own custom domain there. Now, if you want to learn more about a custom domain and how to get it connected to your site, we have a frequently asked questions on our site that tells you about that, helps you choose a domain, offers you a deal for a domain. We actually have a cool deal there for 99 cents for the first year. We don't get paid for that. We just happened to find it and wanted to share it with you guys. Once you've made any changes here, make sure to click save to apply that to your site. Yeah, it's already, whatever. I'll just exit that there. Now, these last three options, site tracking, site verification, SSL certificate, and everything else about the site, is covered in Placester 201. So if you want more information about those, check out Placester 201 at slmtraining.com. A couple of last minute notes as we're leaving here. If you'd like for SLM to set your site up for you without having to try to figure it out yourself, we do have that service there. You just complete that form that I just sent you guys the link for. And if you want more information about all of our complimentary services, there's about 4 dozen that are paid for by your Market Center subscription. You'd visit scottleroymarketing.com/support, and those are all listed there. That's going to do it for our Placester 101 class for today. This is going to be recorded at slmtraining.com, so check that out there. I will see you guys next time.